Okay, so today is December the 4th, 2024. And I think I'm going to get into a couple of chapters of Strategic Alliance. We ended the last reading with 2, 3, and 4. So this is chapter 5. It's very short. So let's get into it. The FBI and the Attorney General's office has stepped up its investigation against black nationalist hate groups. Due to the large population of blacks and a history of political opposition, the Bay Area was mapped off as a hotspot and haven for black nationalists. The government, not wanting publicly to admit the existence of an organized guerrilla formation, classified the groupings as criminal gangs. This was also for psychological purposes to counteract white fear. For all points and purposes, the government put itself at a disadvantage. The tumultuous 60s and 70s culminated with a heightened degree of state-sponsored terrorism against black nationalists and political dissension in general. The military strategy. The military strategy, masterfully orchestrated by the government, broke the back of the black liberation movement. Those leaders who weren't killed and or imprisoned went underground, with most scaring away in defeat to later betray the historical mandate by way of apostasy. With the movement now in an ebb, with the movement now in a low ebb and the intensity of its forward thrust reversed, the government abdicated its broad investigation of identification and neutralization of black revolutionaries to only a few designated groups and individuals. It is as if the strategists within the government failed to understand the tenets of revolution and its corresponding development cycles. There isn't a revolution in the history of mankind that was successful in its inceptional stages, or the first try at the struggle for power. An analysis of history illuminates that each revolutionary process during the initial stages of adolescence suffered major defeats and setbacks. A revolution is a process of development from lower to higher stages of intensity. In one moment, the force of momentum can be in favor of the revolutionaries, where victory seems inevitable. In the next instance, the enemy antagonist can claim the forces of momentum, and the guerrillas can stare defeat in the face and be forced to go underground to reorganize their forces of infrastructure. An incessant storm of high intensity and low intensity periods. A revolution is driven by the force of will. There is no set time cycle to its conclusion. The material forces, or the material factors, are always in a state of basic change, and a revolution can drag on for 500 years or 5,000 years, depending on the conditions, i.e., the internal, external strengths and weaknesses of the forces in conflict. The government did not take these transitions seriously, and in this vacuum, the black guerrillas of New Africa were allowed to quietly and systematically go about the process of secretly constructing centers of gravity. Uninterrupted scientific development is better than years and years of senseless hell raising and reactionary chaos. So that's chapter 5, 2 pages. And what we basically talk about is the various transitions of movements themselves. It's like I say here, sometimes the people, we feel like, man, victory is certain. And the next thing you know, we're staring defeat in the face. And I'm thinking that I'll wait on chapter 6. Chapter 6 is going to be very, very interesting. Remember, when I was talking about the person that they're going to bring in from Chicago, you're going to meet him in chapter 6. He's no joke. I'm telling you, man. I mean, this guy, if this was a movie, the theaters would be filled twice. Yeah, this guy's no joke. But anyway, so that's chapter 5 of Strategic Alliance. And again, if you want a copy of the book, you can send me an email at ecg.alliance@gmail.com. And we'll get you the copy of this baby here. there's never been a book written like this. And it came from the mind of a 32-year-old when I wrote it. So I know what, I can tell you one thing. When this particular book landed in the hands of the FBI, they was like, damn, who is this guy? That's what they said. I mean, even with the cover, I used their format. I used the FBI format. How, you know, if you ever read the books, damn, slipped my mind suddenly. But anyway, the books dealing with the COINTELPRO movement. Agents of Repression, that's one of the books. Agents of Repression. If you ever get a copy of that particular book, then you're gonna see real documentation from the FBI and how they structure, or I don't know how they do it now. Again, Agents of Repression was written years and years and years ago, probably in the early 80s, I imagine. I would have to check for sure. But I used their format, so I know when this book fell into their hands, immediately they was like, who is this dude? And yeah, so that's chapter 5. Tell me what you think.